Hey y'all, it is March the 28th, 2018. And y'all, I've had a pretty hectic past 2 or 3 days. There's lightning going on back there. Y'all can't see it, but I'm looking at a lightning storm right now. That's pretty dang spectacular. Uh, I just thought I would mention it to y'all. I know y'all can't see it, but um, I wanted to make this video as a kind of an introduction, and I know it's a little bit off color or something what I'm about to talk to y'all about. But might as well just go ahead and jump into it because I am gonna go ahead and make probably a series, more than likely a series of videos, a long series of videos. I already seen that I have plenty of material to share with y'all, and this particular video is just gonna be an introduction. Right? Later on, I plan to draw y'all a picture, and it's going to be an elaborate picture. Trust me, there's going to be a lot of details and different angles to share with y'all in this series of videos. All right, but let me go ahead and just sit back with y'all for a little while. Enjoy the show over there that y'all can't see, and I'm sorry about that, but I want to just introduce this subject to y'all and let y'all know that I find it quite intriguing and stuff. I wouldn't even mind. I wouldn't say making a living off of. Here I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know towards I guess the end about the interest that I have in it, or I guess you're gonna understand the interest that I have in it as time goes on. So without further ado. Y'all, this particular video starts, um, kind of, there was a lead up to it. All right. Obviously, I've been mentioning Nicholas Cruz, all right, who, honestly, as far as evidence goes, there is no evidence that he's done what they allege that he did. And that got the wheels to turning in my brain. I was thinking about um, the idea of our legal system the way it is, the criminal justice system that we got here, and it's amazing, but it's actually more amazing than people would first tend to believe. All right, and this is why I'm gonna go ahead and draw y'all out a picture. I'm gonna show y'all all sort of interviews and things of this nature, really give y'all some footage so that you can understand that I'm not making any of this up. Um, but like I said, it kind of started with Nicholas Cruz, who, like I said, I believe, from what I understand, as evidence clearly does or does not show because there is no evidence. Is Nicholas Cruz he didn't do what they allege that he did. All right, and so like I said, I got the wheels turning, and I did a video the other day in particular about the justice system, how it doesn't even make no sense. All right. If anything, it just creates prisons that we're going to put ourselves in, basically, and that's what we've been doing. We're going to do it even further. That much I can assure everybody. That's the pattern that I see playing out. Right. Not only is it a system in which we're creating more and more laws in order to make sure that we imprison ourselves and basically tie nooses around our own necks, and it's really messed up that way. But also, what I want to begin to explain in this series of videos is that not only does our justice system absolutely like justice, in fact, it what it does is it increases injustice very deliberately. Right? Not only does it do that, but what it's attempting to do, what people at the top of it, at the tippy top of it, are attempting to do, and actually pulling off quite successfully, unfortunately, is they're cultivating demons. All right, they're nurturing them and they're honing them, all right? And that is the point. Unfortunately, is what I've been seeing. All right. The first video that I'm going to make probably, and it's going to be a pretty detailed one in which there's going to be a lot of footage for y'all to see. It's going to be pertaining to a man that you may or may not have heard of. All right. But I'm going to go ahead and speak on the subject in which I have already found out. And this man, if you want to go ahead and get a head start, feel free. Is Nico Jenkins. All right. I don't know if that sounds familiar to some. It might sound familiar. Nico Jenkins, from what I understand, is off in a prison somewhere in Nebraska right now. And before I continue, for everybody out there who's unfamiliar with the state of Nebraska, because I don't think people think of the state of Nebraska and they don't think very much. All right. They probably think of a whole bunch of white people doing some white people stuff and just a very boring place. Perhaps it is in some regards, but at the same time, what people ain't realizing is Nebraska is chock full of the brim of this demon cultivation, right? Of just multiplying and nurturing the demonic spirits over in Nebraska. I mean, it's really popping off there. All right, and that's kind of why I want to start there. That's a reason. But actually, Nico Jenkins, if you want to, like I said, go ahead and just YouTube it. All right, you're gonna find a lot. But like I said, if you don't have time, or if you really want someone to break it down for you, I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you. Nico Jenkins is in jail right now, somewhere in Nebraska. I believe he's on the death row over there in Nebraska. All right, they got him set up for I don't know, that lethal injection, the death penalty. All right now. And I do also want to just let y'all know, who knows how long that's going to take. You know what I mean? It's like there seems to be a practice. You're going to notice. You give someone the death penalty and then you just wait and wait and wait and wait years and years, sometimes over a decade, sometimes decades, to go ahead and actually execute the death penalty on these people. We're going to talk about that, as the video goes on. I want to just describe it for y'all. All right, just some of the details as far as Nico Jenkins. Nico Jenkins, he's up in the jail right now over the crime of going on like a murdering spree. Apparently, is what happened. It's described as a 10-day murdering spree, and I'm not sure exactly how and why it took 10 days, things of that nature. I would love to get like a timeline and a breakdown of how and what exactly happened and stuff. It's really kind of a travesty that we don't have that. All right. But Nico Jenkins, he's in, like I said, he's in prison right now on the death row. He's got the death penalty for killing 4 people in a 10-day murdering spree. All right, that he got caught up doing. All right, or at least pretty sure that he did it. More than likely, it seems as though that is what happened. All right, so that's a very different case than Nikolas Cruz. And like I said, don't believe that Nikolas Cruz did what he did. I don't have any reason to believe it. But Nico Jenkins, from what I've seen, I have plenty of reason to believe that he did it. Right? And like I said, just to give y'all some details, basically what happened, from what I understand, is Nico Jenkins was up in prison, right, originally. And I forget what's the years and the numbers. I'm going to go ahead and, fully document all that stuff. But of course, you can find out if you like. He was up in prison for a while in the prison system, the criminal justice system. All right, like I said, cultivating demons. All right, we're gonna discuss that. All right, what happened, from what I understand, from what everybody understands actually concerning the case, is up in the prison system, up in Nebraska, Nico Jenkins was put up in isolation. All right, for a long, long time. I think a year or so, something like that. Up in isolation, the isolation part of it, which if you're not familiar, it's basically where you're spending 23 plus hours a day by yourself all by yourself. Now, thing is, people like to put logic to it, like, oh, this person's too dangerous to put around everybody, and so that's why we keep him all by himself and things of this nature. It's like, well, okay, if that is the case, if he's so dangerous, perhaps we should just put him in the ground, right? But that was my suggestion. In previous videos, like, I mean, if we were to seek justice, if someone was too dangerous and we couldn't have him around nobody at all, to the point of, 23 hours of isolation, 23 plus a day, if that is the case, well, go ahead and put him in the ground. You start to understand something's fishy there, right? But I want to explain that Nico Jenkins, and this was before the murders, Nico Jenkins was up in jail, right? I believe for robbing people their cars, Grand Theft Auto and things, like probably armed robbery of people's cars. He goes up in jail. He causes major problems, all right, up in the jail. And meanwhile, the whole time, he's pretty much requesting that he gets like some mental treatment the whole time, all right? Really, really kind of telling people, that he necessitates some mental treatment. He really needs it. Now, what kind of mental treatment? I can't say. We might discuss that a little bit later. But needless to say, or I guess there is a need to say it, he causes trouble or whatever up in the jail, and they want to put him in isolation, like I said, for well over a year, something like that, maybe 1 to 2 years up in isolation. And a lot of people don't understand. It almost doesn't matter who you are, right? You get put up in isolation, bad stuff's going to happen with your brain, probably, especially if you're already tending to be violent. And definitely, especially if you yourself are admitting to having mental problems already. You start to understand there's a cultivation that goes on, right, in isolation. If you have a person, hypothetically, and they suffer from these mental, whatever, chemical imbalances, whatever you want to call it, if you put them in isolation, what you're doing is you're very much increasing the problem, very much. And that's just on face value. That's plain common sense logic, really, when you think about it. Of course, this is one of those topics that people don't really think about all too much, right? They tend not to want to think about it because, it's kind of gruesome. A lot of people don't have the heart for it or the stomach for it. I'm finding out that I actually have a lot of heart for it. To be honest with you, I can really stomach it. All right, but we're going to discuss that later. So Nico Jenkins, like I said, just to continue the story, he gets put up in isolation for well over a year and stuff like this. He's got all sort of mental problems. He's really freaking out, right? So what they do, according to the law or whatever in Nebraska, who knows, what they do is right straight directly from being in isolation 23 plus hours a day up in a Nebraska state prison. Right after that, instead of giving him some mental treatment, which is what he was requesting, he was requesting not to be released from prison, basically. And he'll tell you that, and it's kind of well documented. He was requesting to not be let out of prison. He was requesting to instead be kept in prison and given some sort of mental treatment, all right, to his liking. They did not do that, all right? The system that they have in place was pretty well similar to everywhere else in the country. The system they had in place is he went directly from isolation, 23 hours a day plus, to being released on the streets. All right. There's a lot of people who have various opinions about it, and I've seen certain people voice their opinions about it, and certainly we're going to get to that. But instead of keeping him in prison the way he wanted to be, in order to get mental treatment, they said, I don't know about that. Instead, we're going to throw you directly out into the world. That's what we're going to do. And shortly thereafter, it did not take very long until a murder spree happened. And in fact, I think he was quoted as saying, "It's going to begin now," as he was leaving jail. All right? So people were hearing him say this, all sort of people. And, people are standing there, all sort of people involved in the justice system who are witnessing to this whole thing take place. Of course, their hands are tied behind their back and they're holding the bag, basically. as he says, you know what, it's going to begin, you guys, what I'm talking about. It's really going to begin. And he was not lying at all, it seems. All right. So fast forward, he goes on a murder spree and stuff like this. You'll note if you watch some of the YouTube videos that his whole family, for the most part, his extended family, are all felons, to include his mother and his father and various siblings and stuff like this, like his uncle, everything. All felons. All right. So you understand that it wasn't a good situation to begin with. All right. Before he ever ended up in jail and stuff, it was a very bad situation that Nico had to deal with. And I'm not trying to make excuses for Nico at all. But that is what played out. Like I said, he want to stay in prison? Nah, you can't. All right, we're going to put you in isolation, which is honestly torturous, and it doesn't matter who you are. So we're going to put you in isolation, but not only that, as soon as you leave, we're going to throw you out into the general public, right, and see what happens. Well, so, like I said, a murder spree takes place, and then they wind up finding him and taking him back to jail, all right? And through the whole legal process, which takes an absurd amount of time, there's all sort of appeals and stuff that takes place, and you have Nico acting as his own attorney and stuff. And if you watch certain of the videos that they have of him, footage of Nico Jenkins, you could tell that he speaks fairly well. All right, it's not to say he's not incoherent sometimes, but for the most part, I've definitely seen him speak much better than most people who I've heard speak. All right, so he's back in jail. All right, and what's notable, I guess, what made him go most viral is not only that he's got tattoos all over his face and stuff, and looking like, honestly, there's a lot of people who's got tattoos all on their face nowadays. So it's becoming more and more the norm. But not only that, a lot of people have seen pictures of him where he's all cut up on the face. His whole face all cut up with razors. All right. He's gone viral for this sort of thing too. Not only that, when you have someone going on a murder spree, that tends to get a lot of attention. So, but to give even more attention to him, you'll find pictures of him on the internet where it's just his whole face is sliced up. Dude, it's not for the weak of heart, right? So it's tattooed up, his face all sliced up. That was interesting. I saw that, and so I started to dive further in. This is how I found out all the details. Because I seen his face, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? All right, so I'm finding that out. I'm seeing his face and everything. I'm starting to dive into the details right now, all right? There's a whole myriad of things that he's done to other people, but not only that, to himself, slicing up his own face. But that it doesn't even stop there, you guys. That's not even that's definitely not the most interesting part of the story. So you want to stay tuned, all right? He's all up in jail, and while he's all up in isolation, and certainly he's in isolation again right now and stuff. I'm sure of it. So while he's up in isolation, you gotta understand, it's like you gotta wonder, how is he getting these razors? He's just getting these razors to slice up his face. Trust me, you get them. He gets them somehow, right? But that's not even the most interesting part. All right. During this last stint that he's in jail, and I don't know how long he's going to be on death row. Who knows? A decade? Who knows? He's in jail and he's slicing up his own face. All right. He's claiming, to believe in this Egyptian god, and like there's an Egyptian god who's talking to him. I wouldn't doubt it. See, the thing is, you already know on this channel I talk about God himself. There's only one. His son's name is Jesus. That doesn't mean that there's not demons. In fact, it does mean that there's absolutely demons. A lot of people don't want to believe in God or Jesus or demons or anything like that. They want to say that's all gobbledygook. Meanwhile, they go watch their little ghost stories and stuff and get all like scared or whatever to entertain themselves, right? But meanwhile, the demons thing is completely real. And we're going to go ahead and just establish that. And like I said, I'm going to show you all sort of footage, but in the meantime, I'm just going to tell you, definitely the demon stuff's all real. It's very much real. So not only is this guy slicing up his face and stuff, claiming, and I believe him, claiming that some ancient Egyptian god is talking to him and actually saved him from suicide before in his life and this and that, and the Egyptian god is just talking to him and stuff. Like I said, the face slicing and stuff, that's not even the most interesting part. Actually, was probably, I found the most interesting is, and you're going to notice, see, if you look into it, at one point, he takes the razors that he's somehow getting, all right? They're hiding them in the mashed potatoes, dude. I've heard all sort of stuff. He's somehow getting the razors and cutting up his face and everything, make it look all crazy, all right? And not only that, he then took a razor to his penis. This is going to get real bad. And the thing is, I'm getting mixed stories about it, and I'm still not sure what exactly happened. I'm still getting mixed stories about it. Either he sliced up his penis in a certain way um, to resemble some sort of serpent god. That's what I'm told. To resemble some sort of serpent god, and I don't have evidence of it, but I actually tend to believe it. All right. So he either sliced it up on his own body. That's what I want to explain to you. I've been getting mixed stories. Either he sliced it up while on his own body, or either that, or he sliced it off. All right, and then proceeded to make it into what looked like a serpent god. You might note that it is 2018, and slicing off your own wiener, it's becoming more and more the norm. It's not exactly slicing off your own wiener so much as it's paying other people to slice off your own wiener. That's becoming more and more the norm. You're gonna find more and more people doing it as time goes on, and those people aren't crazy. All right, general consensus says no, those people are just misunderstood. Right, people slicing off their own wieners and stuff, or people digging out their own vaginas and making it into a penis-looking thing. Right, not themselves, but they're having doctors do it. Right, but that's not crazy. That's not politically correct to say that. Well, that person's nuts. Right, but Nico Jenkins, when he did it, I guess most of the general populace would say that's nuts. Oh, he cut off his own wiener and tried to make it into a serpent god. Well, of course he's totally lost it. I don't know. I don't know what to say because maybe he's just transgender. You guys, I really don't know. I don't know if that's crazy or not because it's 2018, right? So he's doing all that, and mind you, I don't even think that that's the craziest. I mean, actually, that probably is the craziest part. I mean, it's hard to get even more crazy, but I do want to mention that he winds up sending a razor blade and a letter, and I forget if it was. I don't think it was to the governor. It was to some sort of um, corrections director, corrections officer, or something like that. I'm gonna have to look back into it just to make sure I know who he sent it to. But he definitely sent it to somebody in the mail, from jail, from the isolation unit. How is that even possible? You might ask. How is it possible that someone who's literally in the isolation unit on death row in Nebraska, how is he sending razor blades through the mail? How is that even possible? I don't know, but it is possible. He pulled it off. Dude, he's pulling off all sort of stuff, dude. They're checking on him every 15 minutes, allegedly. And we're going to discuss more about that. But they're checking on him every 15 minutes, allegedly. And yet, still, he's still able to slice off his own wiener, carve it into a servant god. Like I said, I don't think people are lying about this. I really don't. And he's doing that. He's sending razor blades through the mail and all sort of stuff. All right, so that's just to give you a taste. And like I said, I'm going to show you. I don't have to just tell you. I'm going to show you in other videos, and I'm going to have to edit them. I just wanted to go ahead and tell you about it, just to give you a heads up. All right. But just to go ahead and make sure that this video is not an hour long, I wanted to go ahead and wrap it up just for right now in saying, none of what's happening to Nico is an accident. You might say, oh, this person's gone totally bonkers nutballs, or you might say a lot of things. You might say, oh, he just really wants attention really bad. Let me tell you something. A human being is not really capable of any of this. All right, no matter how bad a human being, what I want to stress is no matter how bad a human being wants attention, they're not even going to be able to pull this off. They're not. It's just not going to happen. It is impossible. All right, unless put under a certain very strict circumstances in which the legal system, the criminal justice system, actually absolutely caters to. It definitely fosters this sort of situation in which it makes this possible. Right? And like I said, a human being is not really capable of this. Right? A human being will never really want attention that bad. All right. What I'm trying to say is when Nico Jenkins says some ancient Egyptian god is talking to him, I tend to believe it. In fact, I think that that particular demon is acting out through him. All right. How else is it possible that you be able to slice off your own penis or slice it off, slice it on your own body and create it and carve it into a serpent god? How is that possible? And he sliced up his tongue to make it into like a serpent tongue. All this, slice up his own face. He's all sliced up on the face, and different various things. All right, and he's actually come out to say that what he's trying to do, and he's in a way being successful because I noticed it, and I'm sure a lot of people noticed it. But what he's trying to do is bring attention to the fact is our criminal justice system absolutely does cater to this. It makes this happen. It makes it possible. All right. Like I said, not only are we locking ourselves up, locking our children up, basically tying nooses around our children's necks and our necks, just by participating in the system. Not only that, but we're creating an atmosphere where it's definitely possible to cultivate demons. I mean, to actually grab a hold of the demons, put them in a certain place, and just nurture them until they're very, very strong demons. All right. That's exactly what's happening. And the thing is, I want to give you an analogy for all those people, and I'm sure there's a lot of them, but if you ever seen Demolition Man, all right, way back in the day, it had Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone. All right, Wesley Snipes was the bad guy. If you ever seen that, the story clearly states, basically Wesley Snipes was cultivated into a killer. I mean, he already started off with violence, just in him, all right? But what happened is he was put into a criminal justice system in which, and it was all dystopia, it's like futuristic and everything, but basically what it did is created him into an even worse monster than he already was on purpose, for the purpose of releasing him out onto the public. All right. And what I'm stating right now, if you haven't pieced it together, is that is exactly what happened with Nico Jenkins. Am I giving an excuse for him? No. But I am saying that he is Demolition Man. All right. Not only that, I have reason to believe from sources who were familiar with Nico Jenkins up in the criminal justice system, I would have reason to believe that he ain't the only one. All right. In fact, there's probably many, many, many. That's what I need you to wrap your head around. All right. Before we go and get out of here, is all what I described to you. It seems like an absolute nightmare, and it is. It is. But there's many of them in this country alone. Who knows around the world how many it would be? But in this country, if we're going to talk about America itself, I mean, Nebraska is in America. In this country, dang bug. All right. In this country, there's definitely many, many Nico Jenkinses. All right. They're being, like I said, fostered into this. They're being nurtured. Their demons are being drawn out. And what it is like very ritualistic. It's a spiritual extraction and a cultivation of demons in order to release them out onto the public. All right. And we're gonna start looking at certain characters and basically naming names, but dude, it's not gonna be like, oh, I'm coming up with secret information. All this information that I'm gonna give to you is very public. All right. But what I'm explaining to you is there are certain people who absolutely should be investigated, probably never will be, for seeing to it that these demons are extracted from people and harnessed in order to be used as a weapon against the general public. And also, it's kind of being done on the hush hush, dude. You ain't supposed to know about it. All right, but that's exactly what happens. He's Demolition Man, and somewhere there's a number of folks. They're probably the people running the prisons, more than likely. All right, we're gonna name names, but I mean, you can piece it together. Those people are cultivating these, and they're cultivating the demons. They're doing it on purpose, and they're getting away with it, and they're basically being given free reign to continue to do it. All right, ain't nobody stopping them. So the thing is, you can't stop them from doing it. All right, so long as us as a society, so long as we're giving them our blessings, saying, "Hey, look, we got all these monsters. We need you to lock them up. We need you to put them in your custody for over decades at a time." All right. Obviously, these are monsters that we can't afford, and we should probably put them in the ground. But instead, we're going to give them to you so that you can do whatever you want with them. All right, and then maybe just release them out on the public. All right, to do some savage murder sprees. All right, we're giving them the blessings to do this by simply turning our heads away and saying, "Oh no, our criminal justice system makes sense. Oh no, it totally makes sense. It does. Our criminal justice system definitely does make sense if what you're trying to do is create monsters to unleash them out on the public. Then yes, it really does make sense in that regard. All right, so we're gonna have a whole series about it. I've seen a number, and like I said, I'm in a almost unhealthy way. Perhaps my calling. I don't know. I'm very interested. I've been watching all sort of death row people, coming from all sort of different angles and backgrounds and stuff, walks of life, and each one of them has a different story to tell. All right. But what I gotta let you know is throughout this series, first of all, Nico Jenkins is gonna be first. But throughout this series, you're gonna know that what I said about the criminal justice system before, and I'm not the first person to say it. I'm probably not the millionth person to say it. I bet you it's been a lot of people. There's been a lot of people throughout history say exactly what I'm saying. They're just maybe most of them aren't so documented. All right. What we're gonna see is that, like I said, it's being cultivated. We're giving our blessing to it, and it's going to continue to happen. And it's going to prove that not only, number one, are demons absolutely real and we're cultivating them, like I said, and unleashing them on ourselves. Not only is that true, but definitely is a God involved here. It's just not demons running around with it's not just only demons. God does exist, irregardless if you don't believe, the God that I'm telling you, with his son being Jesus. It absolutely is a God exists, because I find it very unlikely, and I think that you'll find it very unlikely as well, that demons absolutely do exist and are being harnessed right now, and God doesn't exist. All right, it's very unlikely. It's extremely unlikely, and we're gonna go ahead and prove it over this series of videos. I hope y'all hang tight. It is kind of weird, I understand, but somebody has to point this out. The thing is, it's impossible to fix a problem. I honestly consider this to be a problem. I don't know about y'all, but carving up your face, going on murder sprees, cutting your dick off, carving it into a serpent god, and all sort of stuff. I find that to be a problem. But here's the thing. You can't fix a problem until you first recognize it. And most people out there, they ain't going to want to recognize nothing. All right? They don't want to recognize the damn thing. Not only that, not only do they not want to recognize nothing, they want to endorse the system, because deep in their hearts, they want to murder people. Maybe not themselves, but they want people murdered. All right. And they just want a good reason to have someone else do the murdering for them. But it's murder in their hearts. That's what they want. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't even need evidence. If we take it back to the Nicholas Cruz thing, they don't even need evidence or anything like that. They'll still call for the murder of people and the torture of people and stuff like that, because it's in their hearts, all right? And that's, in general, as a society, we're filled up to the brim with hate and anger and murder in our hearts, All right, and it's facilitating this absolute nightmare. I'm talking about, hey, we're balls deep up in the tribulation, you guys, and we've been here long enough. I'll holler at y'all in the next video. It's March the 28th, 2018.